So last week, leader of majority, Kimani Ichungwa, went on an ethnocentric rant. He went on an ethnic tirade, targeting one community and abusing parliamentary privilege. He knew exactly what he was doing. He knew he was provoking the opposing side. He knew that's the reaction he wanted, because these are the things that score the marks in when they are going in their behind closed doors in those boardrooms. These are the small issues which they were elected on, and the more that a political deal is approaching, the more that pressure is coming from all over to meet mediators, the more exaggerated that the runs will be. But one thing I'm very happy because of this, because they say every cloud has a silver lining. Previously, and which is why I'm saying we have made so much gains, within the last 8 to 10, 12 months. We have gained so much as regards to civic education. Previously, you would have misconstrued, or those statements would have been somehow promoted as aligned with the general mood and feeling of the Mount Kenya region. But as years progress, especially this regime in particular, the leaders and their self-serving nature has that has come out prominently, and you have then seen that we don't have enemies amongst our communities. We are all united against our politicians, our elites, the ones who go and especially the importers. They are the ones who go and bend the laws, or they influence the policy shifts so as to suppress domestic production and leave them in business. So all of that has become very clear within the last couple of months, and that is progress. I say, you take home, the wins. We don't have to look at our stature as human beings and our intercommunal relations. We don't have to view it through the lenses of the politicians and now their struggle. And every day the media is promoting, these politicians, they are yet to strike a deal. Every time is always like a manufactured tension. They create all this suspense. The media are doing their work, however toxic it may be. But for me, I choose to look through the gains. And now it's becoming clear that these people are serving their own selfish agenda. They're not serving their people. So we shouldn't, in a few last 5 years, 10 years ago, when Kimani Ichungwa said that, then people of Mount Kenya would have been bribed to come out and protest and say, oh, we are standing with Kimani Ichungwa. Politicians across the region would have been there saying, but now you won't see any of that. If you see, those are, and then the media is there. They've been bribed to promote that. So the media also has played a role in sowing the seed of negative ethnicity. And they do that to shield the politicians who, when they are eating, when it's time to increase their salaries, their allowances, that one is bipartisan. They sit down and say, now these are the taxes, let's now start chopping them. This is the mindset that we are trying to wean ourselves out of and approach an era of prosperity. And we can only do it with not falling for politicians' theatrics and the media antics, and now being focused on who is the enemy. So over the weekend, we saw our intellectuals. They were fighting. We saw Miguna and Ekuru Okot. They were on a Twitter war. They had a tweet, and it was a lot. This one is accusing this one that you forged your papers at Kenya School of Law. This other one says, I taught you at Kenya School of Law. This other one said, you are not part of the struggle for liberation in the country. The other one says, no. So I don't know what is happening, because once they start cannibalizing each other, it must be a sign of something. Once the big people, ideally, they are supposed to sit down and map the future of the country, to talk about where we went wrong as a country, how we are moving forward, who is responsible, issues about neo-colonialism, selling out to Western agenda, who want to just steal and appropriate our resources, for their gain at the expense of our populations. I think those are the conversations which are dominating the social media landscape. But now I don't know what's happening. Yesterday, also on the Sunday Nation, Professor Indangasi of the University of Nairobi wrote a long epistle, a whole page. He was given a whole page to, can we say, malign, impugn Professor Michere Mogo. But we are readers. We read all this stuff. The headline was Indangasi. Michere Mogo was not a deep thinker. She passed away last month at the age of 80. But now he started talking about issues in the 70s, and I was very, these are details which were never in the public domain, so it's not bad to know that they were seated in the 1970s. I don't know, 78, I don't know, Robert Mugabe came to Kenya. He was clamoring for independence of Zimbabwe. They came, and then afterwards he asked to meet the liberal professors of the University of Nairobi. And then now they sat across a table at Intercontinental Hotel, and then now they were having a conversation. It was a Q&A, and then Mugabe, out of nowhere, he says, I want to sit next to that beautiful lady. Can she come next to me? And then she goes there, and then she sits with him, and then it's crazy. And then apparently they started having an affair, and so Michere Mogo was masquerading as this dissident who left the country due to the bad policies of Daniel Arap Moi. You know him, the dictator who ruled the country, led it to its deathbed with Kamlesh Patni and other leaders. So there was some very important details there, that she is a sister-in-law to Jeremiah Kereine. Jeremiah Kereine at the time was serving as a chief secretary of Moi. Chief secretary of Moi. Jeremiah Kereine later went to become the chairman of EABL. He's the one who oversaw the sale of a majority stake from Kenyan hands into Diageo. So our people are the ones who have sold us out to the colonial forces. So and now he's been the one who, as the chairman of EABL, now worked on policies and the media to project illicit brews. These are Chang'aa, Moratina, things we drink every day, and competing companies. He oversaw their demolition by, the media, the provincial administration. Our economic crisis has been instigated by our own people. So he said she had no authority to even claim that she was a dissident at any time, because the only reason why she moved from Kenya was to go and take up a job in Zimbabwe. She was working as, I don't know whether it was chief of staff of Robert Mugabe, together with being his clandestina. These are important details that we didn't know. It's unfortunate that he is writing when she has passed away. I don't know what's happening with our intellectuals. Could have written when she was still alive so that she can defend, but he says that by that time Kenya did not have the new constitution which allows for dual citizenship, and thus she had to renounce her Kenyan citizenship and to be a Zimbabwean. Before now, I think she went to the States and blah blah blah. These are fascinating things to read. There's also another document which I read. It's a collective from I think articles from the Library of Congress, which are derived from decommissioned or declassified documents from the Freedom of Information Act. And it said that the leading writers of that time, especially the boomer generation, the leading intellectuals, they mentioned of Chinua Achebe, Professor Ngugi wa Thiong'o, who was also at an ideological crosspaths and crosshairs with Professor Michere Mogo, that they were all funded by the CIA. But the CIA did not make public that they are the ones who are funding. They were using proxies, but ultimately the money was coming from CIA, and they were using it to shape the thinking of Africans as regards to the Cold War, capitalism, communism, blah, blah, blah. So everything that you know now probably has come from those channels. You are breastfeeding on CIA propaganda.